So in this video, we're going to talk about the unfortunate injury to OG Anunoby with him straining his hamstring in Game 2 of the Knicks versus Pacers series. We're going to talk about the concerns, what are the most recent updates, and what it will mean for the rest of the series, man. So without further ado, man, let's talk about it, man. Welcome to the channel. You're now rocking with the Objective Fan. I'm straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest. And you know the vibes, y'all. So listen, man, you now rocking with the most popping Knicks YouTube on the planet. And look, man, unfortunately, we have to discuss this OG Anunoby stuff. Typically, when I'm talking about the Knicks, you know, the majority of the videos have been positive. We're doing great as a team. But unfortunately, we have to lose our defensive wing phenomenon, someone who's been putting in work, someone who's been making it happen on the wing. And, you know, it honestly is a testament to how the season has gone thus far. You know, the Knicks, you know, we did well, face obstacles, have to overcome the obstacles. And this is going to be something that hopefully we can overcome. Now, once again, I am not a doctor. I am someone who's just an objective researcher. You know, I'm a fan moonlighting as a journalist. I always say that. And I had to do some research, as I do typically with all my injury videos. To those that might have remembered that Julius Randle, when he sprained his ankle, we did one on that. And we were kind of on the money with that. So we'll, you know, definitely touch on to this OG Anunoby stuff. So without further ado, I'll jump into research mode. So if you're new to the channel, I like to put everything on the screen so we can actually see what's going on in real time. Now, I have an article here that talks about he won't play Game 4, so no OG Anunoby Game 4. That's not the breaking news. But what is kind of interesting is his status remains murky. So I'm gonna get to the bottom of that in a second. Just stay tuned to the end of the video. So it says he missed Friday night's game, which was a loss, close, you know, heartbreaking loss down the stretch, 111 to 106. But, you know, as a objective Knicks fan, I said Knicks in 6. I did not expect us to sweep the Pacers. If we would have won Game 3, we definitely would have swept them. But that's fine. So, and OG Anunoby is confirmed he won't play Game 4, even though he did travel with the Knicks, according to Tom Thibodeau, right? Now, however, in classic Knicks fashion, we don't really disclose much information. So before we continue the video, I just want to introduce you to my Discord community, Knicks Take Madness. I need you in the building, family. We have great conversations. So it's a way to connect with me outside of the YouTube space. I know you guys watch the YouTube videos. We get a lot of great engagement, but if you want to connect further, and also not just with me, connect with other fans, I give you my thoughts after the game. Sometimes I might do a random, spontaneous call where we can all get on there and talk. And without a lot of the, you know, social media restrictions, definitely take the time to get at me. You can go to theobjectiveknicksfan.com, which is listed right below, or you can scan the barcode and you can join the group. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side. So let's get back to the content. The coach was vague about Anunoby's status moving forward, saying he's unaware of the severity of the strain or the recovery timeline. And hopefully this video will give us some information as to what that timeline possibly can look like, right? However, sources confirm Anunoby won't be ready for Sunday's game, right? And then our medical team is here, so this makes sense for him to come to Indianapolis. So he is traveling with the team, which is a good thing, because if you're really hurt badly, you're not traveling, right? So, and then it says here, because he's with the team, right? Pip says, just keep working at it and we'll see where he is every day. And Anunoby came up limping and holding his hamstring, as you can see in this image here, right? In the third quarter of the Game 2, right? Now, here's the thing that a lot of fans are worried about, and now certain experts. The Knicks are 26-5 with him in the lineup, and they're 0-1 without him in the Pacers series, even though one game is not a good sample size. Coach Tibbs says if you get nicked up in the game, your rehab is basically your game, right? So just lock into that, get treatment 3 times a day, just keep working at that. And so we'll see where he's at. So they're looking at him day to day to see where he's at. And now I'm going to jump into some of the concerns, right? So as you know on this channel, I'm the objective fan. I do research. So I did some research as to hamstrings. And here's what I found. First off, salute Sports Medicine Australia. They honestly have a good article here. You can go on many different articles. Mayo Clinic is another one I went to. where I wanted to get the details as to what will happen if you strain your hamstring, right? So they say it's one of the most common injuries, right? And because the muscles are susceptible to tears and strains. Hamstring strains, most common among sports that require a high degree of speed, power, agility, such as soccer, basketball, tennis, and football, right? Here's the muscle here, right? You can actually see it, right? This is what OG was holding here, right? All right, cool. So let's keep it moving. Okay, so there's three separate muscles, right? Located in the upper leg, right? It's the bicep femoris, right? This don't ask me to pronounce these two. The semi, I just highlight it so you can see it. That's why we're in research mode, so I don't gotta read. Okay, right? So these three muscles, right? They are basically attached to the lower part of the pelvis, and the bottom of the hamstring muscles are attached to the tibia and fibula, which are the shin bone, just below the knee joint. The action of the hamstring muscles is to flex, right? Bend the knee and extend to straighten the hip. Okay. So the major cause of hamstring injuries originates from the imbalance in between the quadriceps muscle and the hamstring muscles located in the front and back of the thigh, respectively, right? The quadricep muscles are very large, strong group of muscles which extend to straighten the leg. These muscles may forcibly overstretch the hamstring, placing excessive tension on the hamstring. That's why, if you note here in the picture, he can't straighten it out because the hamstring is a hamstring strain. That's why he's in so much pain, bent here, right? The hamstring gives us the ability to straighten it out. Okay, so let's keep it going. Now, acute hamstring strains occur due to the sudden movement of force being applied to the hamstring muscles. The player is immediately aware of condition, as that's why he bent over as he did in the picture. And then sometimes they hear a pop. I don't know if he heard a pop. I didn't see that in no report. But here are the risk factors. Now, I go to Fox Sports. Fox Sports, salute to Fox Sports because they give you the injury timeline. And I went through his whole timeline of injuries. That lists his whole career. I can see everything from the ACL he had back in 2017 all the way up to now this hamstring issue, right? Now, when you look at this article here, it tells you some of the proven risk factors. A previous hamstring issue, which honestly could be, though it's not listed in his report, because here on the 23rd, nowhere else here does every other injury is pretty much listed. Knee, calf, right? We see ACL. So we know where on the leg the injury has occurred. Here it just says leg in 28, 23. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a hamstring. But to fast forward now to May 8th, 2024, it could be that. We know it's not age because he's a young guy, but a sudden change in direction, this is possibly the number one culprit. And I don't know how to feel about that. I'm gonna show you why in a second. Right? These are the other risk factors. I doubt it because he's young. I don't think he has poor flexibility, poor strength. No, he's a world class athlete. Right? So I'm gonna go down to the signs and symptoms. You have the different grades. Now I mentioned around the video I did when he had the ankle sprain, and there's different grades and sprains. If you watch that video, you're familiar with that. You have a mild, moderate, severe. I'm gonna skip severe. I don't think it's a severe. So it's either mild or moderate. We're gonna get into that. So with the mild, overstretching without tearing, meaning no tears, which is good. You don't want that, right? He definitely has symptoms, so it's not when it was over, but usually no loss of muscular strength or flexibility. Not sure of that. Increased tightness in the muscle, stretch to a full range of motion. Not really sure about this, but I'm pretty sure there was tightness there. Pain for sure while sitting or walking. You know that. Depending on the severity, weight-bearing activities may be possible. Walking properly may be possible with minimum swelling. So all these things are all possibilities. Not 100% sure, but maybe we'll get more of those details. Now, I'm going to look at the moderate 2. Now, moderate 2, really, the big thing with that is a partial tear, right? Now, that's more damage, but that's scary, right? Definitely the muscular strength and flexibility is reduced. A lot more pain, right? And more severe pain than a grade 1 strain. There's no way for us to know this. They don't tell us, right? A pain on the stretch. Limping is likely to occur, right? Bending the knee against resistance will cause pain. So we don't know none of the pain stuff. So we don't know if it's a grade 1 or 2. We can honestly assume that it's going to be a 1 or 2, right? And it's not going to be severe. Now, here are some of the things. I'm not going to get into the management. That's for the training staff. But definitely they say rest, a lot of rest, ice, compression, elevation. You know, those are the things that you typically would do. Now, Here's what we really are concerned about while you're watching this video: rehabilitation and return to play. Now, look, we don't know exactly when he will return. They don't have no timetable. Here's why, possibly. Can't say for sure, but it says, as a general rule, grade 1 hamstrings should be rested from sporting activity for about 3 weeks. OG Anunoby possibly will not return to the pain and all these things. We don't know the severity. He might not come back for the rest of the playoffs, depending on how long. It's unfortunate news, y'all. We know the Knicks are tight-lipped. I'm sorry if it's off to the side a little bit, but I read it out. Grade 2, it requires a minimum, if you want to know, 4 to 8 weeks. But we don't know if it's a grade 1 or grade 2. I'm just looking at the minimum, the baseline minimum. This is possibly why there's no timetable, y'all. Hopefully, there's more to the story that I don't know. I'm just a, guy who does research and likes to talk Knicks. So I'm gonna get into the last part of this video. What does this mean for the series? I had the Knicks in 6 before the series started. With a healthy OG, I could see it definitely being done in 5, maybe even a sweep. I didn't want to put the sweep out there. I'm never going to predict the sweep in a second. But I do think that the loss of OG could possibly extend the series out a lot longer. But I don't think that it's the end of the series for us. I don't see, OG's gone, so now the Knicks lose. I don't got that in my calculation, my estimation. I think that where OG, what he brought to the table was a lot of intangibles on the defensive end, the ability to switch on different guys, give you different options, give you different looks. But the number one thing he was doing was really neutralizing Pascal Siakam, because that was his teammate. He knew his game. He did a great job on him. You lose that. It's not to say that you're not going to be able to defend Pascal, but you're going to lose a guy that really was the right fit for that. The Knicks, in my opinion, proven that they can outpace the Pacers. They won the game. It's not like OG went down and they didn't win the game, right? If he was the guy that is the only reason why they win, then they lose that game. They shown that they could run with the Pacers. They can score against the Pacers. Jalen Brunson's playing, even though I'm assuming he has a grade 1 sprain, really mild, something that doesn't require him to miss any time. And it looks like he might have re-aggravated his injury. But he's not even on the injury reports, I don't think. So as long as you got Jalen Brunson, you got the Noble boys playing the way they're playing, Precious Achiuwa becomes more comfortable now that he's going to be starting, getting more minutes, right? I think that he brings a lot to this series. I dropped a short from the clip that I did from the podcast where I talked about Achiuwa's effectiveness and why he deserves minutes and time. And now, unfortunately, due to Mitch Robinson, his injuries, Precious definitely will get the time. I like that he opened up the bench. He has no choice. Alec Burks got time. Not that he has to shoot the way he shot every game, but if he can give you something, he's a good option. He gave him over 20 minutes. And Jericho Sims, he only played 1 game, short, not really a long time in the game to get in the flow. Hopefully, he starts getting more time. He becomes in the flow. The key to the series, honestly, is to, Miles Turner. I said he was the X factor. He had a great game. I think that's possibly the reason why they won the game, more so than what Siakam and Halliburton was able to do. So as long as you can contain the Miles Turner pick and pop action, right, you could definitely dominate the glass when you're not shooting well. But look, the Knicks are shooting historic numbers from the 3-point line, and they're shooting from the field, period. So as long as the Knicks, keeps knocking down shots, the Pacers have no chance of winning the series. Because, yes, the Pacers can score a lot, but if they can't stop the Knicks from doing the same, I think the Knicks, being a good defensive team, even without OG, can have more than enough to get the job done. It's just that I think that maybe losing OG extends the series out. But I can't see it going past 6 games, but we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to give you guys an update with OG Anunoby. Hopefully he's going to be okay. In the meantime, in between time, definitely take the time to join the Discord. Knicks Tape Madness. You can go there and we have great conversations. I'm building a community. Just started. Need you guys in the building. Also, get at me on Twitter. I got a Twitter account. It's called TOF on Fire. That's for The Objective Fan on Fire. I talk Knicks mainly on there, but I also talk other stuff, other sports. But definitely get at me on Twitter. All the social media platforms is The Objective Knicks Fan. You can find me straight like that. Just Twitter is the only one that is different. Thank you for tuning in, and of course, subscribe to the channel. And hopefully OG, maybe, we're wrong. Maybe OG can come back for Game 5. I hope that's the case, right, to those watching this video. But I just wanted to give you some just more knowledge as to why he may miss more time. But without any further ado, until next time, go Knicks.